And Rob is such a smart actor and he's so detailed in his preparations.
When I first met him in LA, in some cafeteria, anyway, 처음 이렇게 걸어오는데 구부정하게 그냥 세븐틴이 오는 것 같았어요. 느낌이 되게 마음이 놓였고요.
So he walked in into the cafe kind of hunched, and I just immediately knew he was 17.
Hello, and welcome back to The Director's Cut, brought to you by the Directors Guild of America. In this episode, a man undertakes dangerous space colonization missions by being endlessly cloned in director Bong Joon-ho's science fiction dark comedy, Mickey 17. The film tells the story of Mickey Barnes, an everyman hired by a tyrannical government to work as an expendable, a human clone willing to die for one dangerous mission after another. Repeatedly meeting his end for the advancement of space exploration, the 17th Mickey survives a seemingly fatal expedition and comes face to face with a new problem, Mickey 18. In addition to Mickey 17, Bong's other directorial credits include the feature films Okja, Snowpiercer, Mother, The Host, Memories of Murder, and Barking Dogs Never Bite. He was nominated for the DGA Award for Outstanding Directorial Achievement in Feature Film for 2019's Parasite. Following a screening of the film at the DGA Theater in Los Angeles, Bong, accompanied by his translator Sharon Choi, spoke with director Ava DuVernay about filming Mickey 17. Listen on for their spoiler-filled conversation.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you. Happy Saturday night in Los Angeles. What a thrill to be able to watch this film and to have our esteemed director with us. So welcome to Los Angeles, director.
감사합니다.
Thank you so much.
So I'm going to dive in with my favorite line from the film. She always loved me, every me, even the one that I didn't know at all. I love that line. I just wanted to talk a little bit, we've got one of our greatest living directors here, but I want to talk a little bit about love because I feel that is the thing that truly makes Mickey feel alive in a world that is dark, in a world that is confusing, is chaotic. It's those moments with Nasha that helps us connect to his humanity. That's what I got from it, but I'd love to hear what your intention was.
제가 사실 사랑 영화를 찍어본 적도 없고 사랑이 이렇게 영화의 서브플롯인 적조차도 없었는데요, 그동안. 네.
So until now, I've never really made a movie about love. Love hasn't really even been a subplot in one of my movies yet.
제 주변의 프로듀서들도 절대 멜로드라마를 하지 말라고 너는 그랬거든요. 연쇄살인 영화 찍으라 그러고.
Yeah, producers around me would tell me, "Oh, you should never do a love movie. You just go shoot serial killers."
근데 이번에는 해야만 됐었고 되게 하고 싶었었어요. 원작 소설을 처음 봤을 때부터.
But this time, ever since I read the original novel, I knew that this story had to have love.
그 미키 캐릭터 때문에 사실 이 스토리를 하게 된 건데 미키라는 좀 되게 어떻게 보면 불쌍하고 되게 좀 억울하고 맨날 손해보는만 보는 친구 같은데 그런 친구가 이렇게 되게 혹독한 극단적인 상황에 있는 거잖아요. 그 익스트림 잡을 하고 있는 건데. 예.
Now, I was drawn to this story because of the character of Mickey. He's always in these unfortunate circumstances, getting the short end of the stick. And, he finds himself in this very extreme and chaotic job of being an expendable.
근데 어쨌든 영화에서 미키가 파괴되지 않았으면 좋겠다라는 마음이 처음부터 있었어요. 근데 그게 어떻게 가능하지? 그건 이제 결국 나샤의 사랑 때문이 아니었나라는 결론에 도달했거든요.
But from the very beginning, I wanted to make sure that he doesn't get destroyed, but by what happens in the film. And so I thought, how is that going to be possible? And in the end, it's all thanks to the love that he has with Nasha.
I love Nasha. I just have to ask, this is a selfish question, but your casting of a Black woman in that role was very significant to me, and I wondered about that casting decision. Was it, did it have any cultural significance, or was it just the wonder of Naomi Aki?
그 프랜신 메이슬러라는 이제 우리 캐스팅 디렉터랑 일을 했었는데요. 나샤 역할로 이제 처음부터 제가 아프리칸 아메리칸 액터 했으면 좋겠다라는 그런 느낌이 있었고, 원작 소설에서도 정확하진 않지만 뭔가 그런 것 같은 암시는 되어 있었었고요. 그래서 그 캐스팅 디렉터한테 부탁을 했었는데 나오미를 발견하게 되는 되게 행운이었죠. 예.
So I worked with Francine Maisler, our casting director, and from the very beginning, I just had this inkling that I wanted Nasha to be an African-American woman. And, you know, the novel never really pinpoints her origins, but it had hints about her ethnicity. And so I told Francine that I would love to cast an African-American actor. And, you know, it was my great fortune to meet Naomi.
Yeah, and I watched the limited series called The X. Yeah, directed by Steve McQueen, yeah, which was so good. And 근데 그녀가 되게 훌륭하더라고요. 거기서 그래서 보고 되게 신뢰감을 가지고 나오미를 이제 런던에서 만났죠.
And she was so great in that series. As soon as I saw her performance, I knew she was an actor that I could rely on. And so I met her in London.
If I didn't love you before, I loved you because of the answer to that question. So thank you. Thank you, director. So there's a recurring question in your work. Who gets to survive and who decides?
제가 좀 돌이켜보면 제 영화의 인물, 제 스스로 만든 캐릭터들한테 좀 되게 가혹했던 편이에요. 이렇게 어둠의 구렁텅이로 밀어넣은 적이 많이 있었고요.
When I look back on my films, I feel like I have been quite harsh to my characters. I always throw them into a dark abyss.
그냥
I just shove them into
어둠의 심장으로.
to the heart of darkness.
근데 미키한테는 도저히 못 그러겠더라고요.
But I really couldn't do that to Mickey this time.
그리고 럽 패틴슨의 이렇게 눈을 보고 있으면 왠지 되게 특히 그 친구가 이렇게 출력되는 모습을 이렇게 잉크젯 프린터에서 출력되는 것처럼 이렇게 되는 걸 보면 되게 마음이 아파요. 그래서 그 어둠으로 밀어넣고 싶지 않았죠 이번에.
And also, if you just look into the eyes of Robert Pattinson, how could you want to throw him into the abyss? And especially in this film, when you see him get printed out from the printer, like an inkjet printer, I just really didn't want to throw him into the darkness this time.
Good. Why do you think you're attracted to, short of this film, those themes?
일단 그 원작 그 오리지널 노블 그러니까 소설 자체의 이제 핵심 그 이제 사이파이 컨셉 자체가 이제 휴먼 프린팅이라는 건데 그 단어 조합 자체가 사실 되게 묘하잖아요. 사실 조합돼서는 안 될 단어죠. 인간이 인쇄된다는 거니까 이런 뭐 종이 쪼가리도 아니고 인간이. 예.
So the core sci-fi concept of the original novel is human printing. And it's quite an eerie combination of words if you think about it, to print out human beings like they're pieces of paper. That concept shouldn't really exist.
네, 근데 인간에 대한 어떤 존경이 이미 거기서 실종된 거고 거기서부터 이미 많은 영화의 어떤 블랙 코미디와 또 슬픔과 여러 감정들이 이미 다 거기 있는 것 같아요. 그래서 일단 기본적으로 원작에 끌리게 됐고요.
And just by this combination of words, you can tell that this world has no respect for humanity. And in that concept is all the black comedy and sadness and a mixture of different emotions.
그리고 영화에 사실 두 개의 이야기가 있다고 생각이 들어요. 예.
And I think ultimately the film has two stories.
원주민의 얘기가 나오잖아요. 그 행성에 가면은. 예.
One about the native inhabitants of the planet.
근데 이제 벌레라는 식으로 되게 경멸당하고 무시당하는데. 예.
And they're treated with such contempt. They're treated like as disgusting bugs.
미키도 또 되게 무시당하고 뭐 프린트 잡, 뭐 스팸 베이비 뭐 이런 식으로 무시당하는데. 예.
And Mickey is also treated with a lot of contempt. You know, he's called like a spam baby, a print job.
영화의 후반부는 이제 이 경멸당하는 두 존재들이 이제 어떻게 좀 특이한 방식으로 둘이 연결되는가에 대한 이야기인 것 같아요.
And towards the end of the film, I think you see the journey that you see is these two beings that are treated with such contempt somehow find connection amongst themselves.
Well, the themes are beautiful, and the way we lay it out with a genre, you lay it out in genre, with these big swings is what makes it pretty spectacular. But in it, you've got issues of labor, ownership. You've got, you're exploring indigenous cultures. And so I wonder, just in general, in all of your work, the ways in which you decide to infuse your storytelling with meaning and with things that have impact on society. How are you balancing these
그
action sequence with bugs in the snow? This is,
wow, many questions. 하나씩 그러니까 무슨 정치 영화나 무슨 모르겠어요. 이렇게 프로파간다나 정치 영화를 찍고 싶은 건 아니죠. 사실 누구나 그렇겠지만 감독님들이. 예.
I think it's all the same for all directors, but it's not like we want to make a political film or propaganda.
되게 구체적인 개인의 스토리를 찍고 싶어 하잖아요. 아마 그 셀마를 찍으실 때도 그렇겠지만 역사적이고 어떤 큰 사건일지라도 결국 되게 구체적인 개개인의 얘기를 찍고 싶잖아요.
Because ultimately we want to tell a specific story about specific individuals. I'm sure it was the same for Selma. Although it's about this big historical event and time, it's really about the specificity of a personal journey in life.
그래서 저는 이제 미키가 처해 있는 그 힘든 상황이 뭘까? 무엇이 미키를 힘들게 하는가를 짚어보면 방금 얘기한 여러 가지 사회적, 정치적인 코멘터리들이 나올 수밖에 없는 것 같아요. 얘가 왜 힘들지? 미키가?
And so the question that I started with was, what makes Mickey's life so difficult? What makes it difficult for him? And just exploring those questions led me to all the elements that you mentioned and ended up becoming this social political layer commentary in the story.
Thank you. So this is the DGA. They're directors that would marvel at the fact that this is all storyboarded. No reshoots, I hear?
No reshoot?
How?
No coverage?
No coverage,
Yeah,
no
no.
reshoots, all storyboarded. How? What was the process? How long?
그냥 스토리보드를 그려갖고요. 그대로 찍어요. 예.
I just draw storyboards and I shoot it accordingly.
그 추천할 만한 방법은 아닌 것
But I
같아요.
don't recommend it.
스토리보드 없이도 잘 찍는 분들이 많잖아요. 스필버그도 안 한다 그러던데.
Because a lot of directors shoot great works without storyboarding. I heard that Spielberg doesn't storyboard.
근데 저는 어릴 때부터 이제 처음 단편 영화 할 때부터 습관이 그렇게 들었어요. 그리고 제가 저의 이제 주치의 의사도 얘기를 많이 하면 제가 불안 증세가 심하다 그래서 스토리보드를 미리 정교하게 해야 좀 안 불안하거든요. 그거 없이 세트장에 가면은 그 사운드 스테이지 딱 가면은 이렇게 뭐랄까 우리가 자주 꾸는 악몽 있잖아요. 뭐 이렇게 밑에 바지를 하의를 안 입고 내가 이렇게 센트럴 스테이션 한복판에 있는 것 같은 그런 거. 예.
It just became a habit of mine since I was a young filmmaker. Since I did shorts, I always storyboarded. And, my therapist tells me that I need to deal with my anxiety, and meticulous storyboards ensure that I feel less anxious. If I show up on set without a storyboard, it would feel like one of those recurring nightmares where I'm at Central Station without wearing any pants.
Please continue to storyboard.
근데 처음에 이제 근데 한국 인더스트리에서는 스토리보드가 되게 좀 일반적이에요. 많이들 하는 편이에요. 그대로 찍으려고 하는 편이고요. 예.
But it's quite conventional in the Korean film industry to do thorough storyboards. People do shoot relatively according to the
But
boards.
when I was first making English language film called Snowpiercer 12 years ago, at the time, my first AD, he actually quite suspicious about 내가 막 열심히 스토리보드 하는데 왜 저렇게 하지? 그거대로 찍을 거라고 생각을 안 했었어 그 사람은. 왜 이렇게 시간 들여서 저걸 하고 있지 저 양반이? 막 이랬던.
So he would see me work really hard on my storyboards and he would just be like, why? He didn't believe that I would actually follow my storyboards.
근데 이제 촬영하고 일주일 지나고 나니까 정말 그대로 찍는다는 거를 알게 되고서는 그 다음부터는 자기가 그거 카피 들고 다니면서 하나씩 이렇게 지우면서 되게 좋아하더라고요.
But after a week into the shoot, he realized that I do shoot accordingly, and then he started going around with copies of my storyboard and just Xing all the things that we go through and just like really enjoying
Satisfying.
the X's.
Yes. How do you create a sense of freedom with the actors when you're following storyboards to the T with no deviation? Do you ever come up against any kind of resistance or challenge there?
한국 배우들이 되게 착했던 것 같아요. 저는 몰랐었는데 나중에 알게 됐어요. 그러니까 저는 되게 정교한 프레이밍이나 이제 카메라 무브먼트를 다 해놓고 그거에 맞춰서 배우들이 막 움직이게 하면서 동시에 또 거기다 대고 막 임프로바이즈 하라고 뭐 자유롭게 편하게 릴렉스 하라고 막 그러니까 사실 모순되는 주문을 하는 건데. 예.
So I think it's because Korean actors were just incredibly nice. I realized it much later on because, I would have all this like precise storyboards with set frames and set movements, and the actors would have to meet specific marks. But then at the same time, I would just be like, improvise and like just relax as you try to hit these exact marks. So it's like this very paradoxical request that I'm making to them.
근데 이제 기생충 찍다가 그 좀 약간 진실을 알게 됐어. 예.
And then I uncovered the truth while shooting Parasite.
그 세트 코너에서 두 배우가 얘기하는 걸 얼핏 이렇게 들었어요.
I eavesdropped on two actors talking in the corner of the set.
그 메인 액터인 이제 송강호 저랑 이미 4편을 한 배우가 있었고 그 와이프로 나오는 배우는 이제 저랑 처음 한 배우인데 그 처음 한 배우한테 얘기해주고 있더라고요. 야, 지금 되게 힘들지? 조금만 견뎌. 한 일주일 지나면 괜찮아져. 익숙해질 거야. 뭐.
So one of the actors was Song Kang-ho, the main actor of Parasite, who I'd worked with on 4 films at that point. And then the other actress played the rich housewife. It was my first time working with her. And I heard Song Kang-ho telling her, I know it's really hard. I know. Just hang in there. It'll be easier. It'll get easier after the first week.
잘하실 거야.
It's okay. It's okay. I know it's hard.
So, well, that leads me to Robert. What was the relationship like? How are you working together to create the first Mickey? So Mickey 17, Mickey 18, the variations between the two. What was the collaboration?
라비 진짜 정말 스마트하고 섬세하게 준비를 정말 많이 하는 타입이더라고요. 예.
And Rob is such a smart actor, and he's so detailed in his preparations.
When I first met him in LA, in some cafeteria, anyway, 처음 이렇게 걸어오는데 구부정하게 그냥 세븐틴이 오는 것 같았어요. 느낌이 되게 마음이 놓였고요.
He walked in into the cafe kind of hunched, and I just immediately knew he was 17.
근데 18도 할 수 있을까라는 궁금증은 조금 들었었는데 걱정도 약간 하긴 했었고.
But I still did wonder if he would be able to manage Mickey 18. I was slightly concerned in the beginning.
But I watched the Lighthouse.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can look at the other work.
그거 보니까 18 할 수 있겠다는 생각이
Watching that, I was like, yeah, he can do 18.
그래서 그 스펙트럼이 있고 본인이 이제 특히 18 쪽은 제가 이제 랭귀지, 그러니까 영어가 저의 네이티브 언어가기 때문에 좀 한계들이 있는데 랍이 그런 걸 많이 도와주고 많이 돌파해줬어요. 그래서 특히 세븐티보다 특히 18 캐릭터는 랍이 임프로바이즈한 것도 많이 있고 뭐 아이디어를 준 것도 많이 있고 훨씬 더 풍성하게 해줬어요. 스크립트에 있는 것보다. 네.
Yeah, especially with Mickey 18, he prepared a lot for that role. And, because I'm not a native English speaker, there's always a certain limitation to, the nuances of the language and the culture. And Rob really helped me with that, was able to break through those barriers. And he improvised so much and added a lot of ideas to make the character a lot richer.
Yeah, for example, very simple reaction. Kind of when Stephen Yan visit the prison, the Mickey 18, Rob doing oopsie kind of. 나는 그런 디테일 모르니까 사실 그런 거 내가 리퀘스트 못 하거든. 근데 본인이 그런 거를 해주면 난 되게 기뻤던 거죠.
Yeah, because I don't know those nuanced responses of this culture. And so, I could never request something like that from him, but he came up with the idea to do that. And so it was great.
What about Ruffalo? He's so over the top, him and Toni Collette. I mean, he's a friend, and I'm like, what is he doing? That is crazy. How did that come about?
원래 원작에는 원작에는 토니 콜레트 캐릭터가 없어요. 예.
So Toni Collette's character doesn't exist in the original novel.
근데 독재자들이 원래 커플로 나올 때 더 빛이 나거든요.
But, with dictators, they shine brighter when they move as couples.
우리가 역사적으로 전 세계적으로 돌이켜 보면 역사적으로 그런 경우들이 꽤 있죠. 그래서 일파 토니 콜레트의 캐릭터를 만들 수밖에 없었고요.
So just throughout history, if you look back on some of the dictator couples, you'll understand what I mean. And so I just had to add the character of Ilfa.
마크 러팔로가 악역을 한 적이 한 번도 없었고 또 토니와 마크가 같이 연기를 한 적도 한 번도 없었어요. 그래서 두 분 다 영화를 참 많이 하신 분들인데 그런 게 되게 신기하더라고요. 그래서 뭔가 좀 새로운 걸 해볼 수 있지 않을까라는 생각이 들었었고.
So Mark had never played a villain role before, and Tony and Mark had never acted together before, and both of them had done so many movies. So it was quite surprising for me to find out about this. So I thought it was a great chance to try something new.
그리고 이제 설국열차 때에서의 이제 틸다 스윈튼도 그랬지만은 사이파이 영화에서의 좀 악당 연기, 약간은 만화적이기도 한 그런 느낌을 제 캐릭터 되게 좋아하기 때문에 마크와 토니가 이번에 정말 마음껏 그렇게 뛰어놀게끔 저는 이렇게 한국 표현인데 멍석만 깔아준다 그래야 되나? 예.
So I feel like, Tilda Swinton in Snowpiercer was kind of like that, but generally sci-fi villains, and especially the ones in my film, tend to be slightly cartoonish, and that's what I like. And so, I just let Mark and Tony just run around. I just set up the field for them, and they did whatever they wanted to do.
특정 정치인을 레퍼런스를 하는 건 절대 아닙니다.
And we definitely did not intend to reference a particular politician.
2021년에 시나리오 썼고요. 22년에 촬영했어. 예.
I wrote the script in 2021, and we shot this in 2022.
타임 테이블이 중요합니다.
Very important to point that out.
Yes. Wise to track it. Thank you. So you debuted at Berlin, and you've been to, where did you say you did London, you've done Paris, you've been Korea here, and then you'll be in Tokyo next week. What have you found with the various receptions? This film feels like a global film to me, and yet we have a world in which democracy is up for debate as you travel across the world with this film that has very specific ideas. What's been the response, and how have you felt about it?
방금 마크 러팔로 캐릭터에 대한 얘기도 했었는데 여러 나라 분들을 만나보면 다들 본인들이 겪었던 또는 현재 겪고 있는 정치적인 어떤 스트레스를 투사시키는 것 같아요. 마크 러팔로 마샬 캐릭터에.
So we just talked about Mark Ruffalo, but what I found was that going to all these different countries, everyone seems to project the person that causes political stress in their country onto the character of Mark Ruffalo, regardless of from the past or whether in the present.
Maybe something is happening in South Korea also. Yeah.
You think?
Yeah. So Korean audience, when they watching the Mark Ruffalo, they keep talking about some guy, and then also when I met one great Italian journalist, 나이 많으신 분이었는데,
Yes, she was a bit older.
그분은 마크 러팔로 캐릭터가 약간 무솔리니로부터 인스파이어링 된 거 아니냐라고 또 물어보더라고요.
Yeah, and she asked if Mark Ruffalo's character was inspired by Mussolini.
턱을 이렇게 하는
Especially
거나
with the jaws.
유니폼 입은 거라든가. 그래서 여러 나라마다 다 그런 식으로 해석될 여지가 있는 그런 부분이었나 봐요. 그래서 그리고 또 미키에 대한 또 얘기를 하신 분들도 꽤 있었는데 예.
So I think that character had a lot of room for various interpretations in different countries. And a lot of people talked about Mickey, of course.
한국에서 몇 년 전에 되게 이제 뭐 지하철역에서 일하는 젊은 노동자가 이제 되게 비극적으로 죽은 그런 사고 같은 게 있었는데요. 또 한국뿐 아니라 모든 나라에서 다 있을 수 있겠죠. 그런 사고들이. 그래서 그 청년은 이제 청년 노동자는 죽어서 세상을 떠났지만 그 잡은 그대로 유지되고 거기에 새로운 사람이 오는 거죠. 1번, 2번, 3번, 4번. 근데 이제 영화에서는 미키라는 이제 한 청년이 사실 워킹 클래스 청년이죠. 근데 그 청년이 미키 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 계속 가는 거잖아요. 그래서 그런 식으로 또 대입해서 보는 관객들도 있었고요. 네.
And in Korea, a couple years ago, there was a very tragic accident in the subway involving a young man working there. And, accidents like this happen all over the world, not just Korea. But at that time, the young man, he unfortunately died on the job, but the job still remained and someone new just came in to replace him. And so the job stayed the same while the people kept changing. And that's the fate of Mickey in this film. He's kind of this working class character who goes through all these different iterations while his job remains the same. So I think people saw that in the film.
Let me ask you, I saw you did a video. You're vegan?
비건은
vegetarian?
아니고 페스코 생활을 한 3년 정도 했었어요.
It's Pesco for 3 years, not vegan.
Pescatarian. Okay. But you did a beautiful video about being expendable and, what that means in our current society. This video that I saw was focused on animals, but generally, for me, I took from this film the idea that there is a hierarchy of human beings, that we value some people and some living things over others. So I just wanted to ask you just to talk a little bit about those themes in the film and your personal connection to this kind of feels like a manifesto in some ways, a call to action that the people have power to me, and that even the smallest of us, has value.
제가 영화에서 크리처나 이제 또 애니멀, 그러니까 동물, 옥자 같은 영화 그런 거였는데, 그를 다룬 적이 몇 차례 있는데, 한 세 편 정도의 영화가 크리처나 이제 동물을 다뤘는데요.
So about 3 of my films involve creatures and animals, particularly 옥자.
그런 캐릭터들이 나오게 되면 이제 그런 동물이나 크리처 또는 몬스터를 통해서 오히려 우리 인간이 얼마나 한심한가를 보게 되는 적나라한 거울 같은 다라는 생각을 하게 되곤 하거든요.
And when you have, creatures and animals and monsters like that, I feel like their role is to be this mirror that shows a raw portrayal of how pathetic humans are.
Also in this movie, Mickey 17, Mark Ruffalo character keep talking about 크리퍼에게 계속 경멸의 말을 하잖아.
Just really hateful things about the creepers.
croissant dip in the shit kind of. 근데 이제 그렇게 무시하고 경멸하고 막 그러는데 사실은 누가 존중받아야 되고 누가 무시당해야 할 존재인지는 사실 영화를 보는 우리는 알잖아요. 그게 마크 러팔로 캐릭터인 건지 아니면 크리퍼 캐릭터인 건지.
But we all know who are the ones that truly deserve respect, and, to be looked upon. We know whether that should be Mark Ruffalo's character or the creepers by the end of the film.
그리고 영화의 후반부는 사실 베이비 크리퍼를 어떻게 구할 것인가 거기에 초점이 맞춰져 있으니까요.
And the second half of the film is really focused on how to save this baby creeper.
그게 제가 영화 옥자에서 다뤘던 어떤 옥자의 후반부의 정서와 비슷하다고 생각이 들고요.
And I think that's quite similar to the later part of 옥자 and what I deal with in that story.
무엇보다도 뭐 제가 어떤 뭐 무슨 사회 운동을 하는 사람도 아니고 제가 정치적인 행동을 뭐 직접 나서서 하고 있는 사람도 아니지만 제가 우리 집에 같이 살고 있는 우리 강아지를 쭌이라는 강아지의 눈을 보면 항상 여러 가지 생각이 들기 때문에 자연스럽게 이런 영화를 만들게 되는 것 같아요.
You know, I'm not a social activist. It's not like I'm on the front lines of political action, but I just look into the eyes of my dog at home, Junie, and I have all these questions that come to mind and all these thoughts, and just very naturally they end up in my films.
Her name is Junie. Yeah.
That's a good name. Well, I just would encourage everyone the craft that went into this film, the production design, the creature creation, you know, the cinematography, the performances, the writing. It's also stunning. Were too many questions to ask about it, but you should read about it because there's a lot to know. I'm going to end though with a question that's not craft, and a question that really connects to the reason why I was so honored to be asked to sit with you, because you are one of my favorite filmmakers, and it's because of your bravery. I think you're brave. I think that's hard to be in this day and age in our industry and in cinema. And I wanted to ask, perhaps you can share with us a real answer. How do you stay brave?
용감했었나요?
Was I brave?
I think you're
Really?
brave. Your career is a brave one. The choices that you make and the
Thank you.
you know the films that you bless us with. So.
I'm just very obsessional. So I always want to make the movie which 내가 보고 싶은 영화를, 그러니까 원래 영화 팬인데 그러니까 관객인데, 그러니까 내가 보고 싶은 영화를 아무도 안 찍어주니까 내가 찍어서 내가 직접 보는 그런 졸라 단순한 메커니즘입니다.
You know, I'm just a movie fan. I'm a member of the audience, and I always just want to shoot the film that I want to see as a member of the audience because no one has shot it yet. So it's quite a simple mechanism, actually.
Got it. You're making the movies that you want to see.
Yeah, quite.
That's it. Okay. Well, we want to see them too. Thank you so much, Director Bong. Thank you.
감사합니다.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so
Eva.
much.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thanks for listening to another DGA Q&A. The Director's Cut is available wherever you listen to podcasts. And please share, subscribe, rate, and review. We'd love to hear your feedback, and you can help fellow film buffs find the show. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time. This podcast is produced by the Directors Guild of America.